Do you want to prevent back pain as you grow older? Here's the key. First, I'll explain why most people tend to develop back pain. Make sure to watch the video until the end. Then you'll find out how even the simplest movements can significantly improve and relieve your pain, and you'll notice the difference right away. So look, this is roughly what your body looks like from the inside, the musculoskeletal system. Here you can see the pelvis, the hip joints, and also the lumbar spine, all clearly visible. I'll turn around and show you the back. You can see the sacrum here, and below that, the coccyx. Falling on it can be extremely painful. And from the back, you can see the lumbar spine. And then I will turn again like this, because there's a specific muscle that happens to be truly crucial when it comes to pain. And that's the hip flexor. This particular muscle is responsible for flexing the hip or raising the leg. And in order for it to perform its function, it's securely attached here and extends over the groin area here. One part goes into the pelvis, and the other part goes to the lumbar spine. And you can imagine that if it gets shorter, it lifts into the leg. And when it becomes longer, the leg lowers again. And naturally, you have the same mechanism on both sides of your body. Here on the other side, it's exactly the same. And this is a huge muscle that runs right through the entire pelvis. And it contains a lot of fibers and has a great deal of strength. This muscle is truly wonderful. We use it to lift the leg when we are lying on our back and to raise the torso. But what do we tend to do far too often without properly balancing it out? A great number of people spend a lot of time sitting. While sitting down, the legs are typically in that position. Now imagine that the muscle extends all the way up to this spot here. Is this one longer or is this one longer? Of course, this one. And when sitting, it's shorter. And the muscles and the fascia are the tissue that surrounds the muscle that runs through the muscle. Everything in the body is interconnected through the fascia. And when you sit a lot, the entire muscle fascia unit here from the hip flexor. And on the other side is shorter than when standing. The human body is biologically designed and crafted in a way that allows it to adapt and adjust to the activities we regularly engage in and do. So if we sit for 9 or 10 hours a day in the long run, and many people also sleep on their side with their knees pulled up, basically sleeping in a sitting position. Then with each year, more and more shortening occurs. And what does shortening mean? It means that this unit here, the hip flexor, the muscles and the fascia, that they don't want to give in anymore. They want to stay as they are used to. That means if you make the decision to go ahead and stand up, because you have both the desire and intention to stand up and walk, then what's pulling forward at the back here has to exert an even stronger pull to move back again towards its original resting position. Imagine that you're being pulled down. From the shortening at this point here, and then simultaneously, you're being pulled back at this spot. So essentially, the forces are acting here and there to create a distinct tension and pull. And where does that tension go? It pulls on the spine, and it also affects significantly the hip joints. Tension keeps building up in this whole area, and ultimately, this leads to back pain. We've known this for many years, and basically, now it's just necessary that the hip flexor, which is fundamentally the main cause of the entire problem, is kept in a condition that is nice, supple, and very flexible. And we'll show you right now the method to keep it flexible. The most essential movement you should perform on a regular basis is the complete opposite of sitting. Just to make it clear, take a look. Sitting is like this, and what we mean by the opposite is like this. And if that's easy for you, and you don't have to make much effort anymore, please turn towards a wall. About half a step away from the wall. Lift hands to shoulder height, just as I am doing. Very good. And at this point in time, it's really important for you to cultivate a bit more awareness concerning the precise position of your pelvis. And we achieve this by gently placing both hands in the buttocks and then making a kind of duck butt, sticking it out with a hollow back and then doing the opposite. Yeah? Try it. Make these movements back and forth briefly to get a bit of a feel for it. The more you maintain the posture, meaning keeping out of the sway back position, the more effectively this exercise will work for you. So you have to imagine that the lower groins move forward and the belly button, the entire abdomen, moves backward. This helps in achieving the correct posture for the exercise. You move smoothly from that position to this one. Then it progresses further, and that's when the exercise really starts. So, at this moment, you're essentially pushing the groins forward in this area. And you are pulling the navel and the entire belly region back. And you might notice, even when you're practically upright, oh, it's already starting to pull there. There's pulling in the groin area, maybe even already in the back. Now, it's really important to clearly understand that if there's some pulling in the back, that's actually good. That's what we want. We want that because it's exactly the muscle I've described to you earlier. The hip flexor, which is being extended now, doesn't easily want to give in and pulls a little. You feel this pulling sensation in your back, and do the exercise with enough intensity so that the pull remains tolerably bearable for you. The pulling sensation targets the muscle that's too short, which is indeed the primary cause of your back pain. Be very careful so that you also gain trust. Keep moving a bit further forward with the groin and further back with the stomach. And like I said, you might notice, even when you're almost standing still, that nothing's working anymore. More and more over the course of weeks and months. I just want to show it to you. You don't have to learn it, but this can always be taken further. And the further back you go, the farther away you are from back pain. I'm shifting back into a position that might be a bit closer and more familiar to you. And now we'll engage in some strength training exercises so that the muscle being stretched is not only flexible but also strong. Now, using the strength of your abdomen, push from your hip, attempting to straighten your torso, but make sure to brace yourself against the wall to keep it from happening. Relax once again, step a bit further back, and try to straighten your torso, pressing firmly against the wall so your body stays completely still and can't shift at all. And then allow it to relax once more. You step out, and that's basically it. After that, it's a good idea to just really let go completely and allow yourself to relax fully. Don't be surprised if your back feels sore or uncomfortable. It means something significant was done there. Because when we lean back, everything in the front gets longer, which is what we want, but everything in the back gets shorter. And that's why it's really beneficial to balance it out a bit more effectively through the counter movement. To make your back feel even better, we will now complement this exercise with a second one. We're engaging the hip flexor again, but this time differently. Go into a wide straddle as far as you can before it starts to pull. If you start to feel it pulling, typically on the inner side, and also around the groin area extending up to the hip, then slow down, take your time, and hold on tightly to the table or chair for support. Ensure that you don't lean forward, but maintain a completely straight posture. Then take small alternating steps, moving your toes further apart, then your heels further apart, and I move a little forward and backward. You'll feel a relief in your muscles, and then the exercise begins. Yes, that's already the exercise. You'll feel more and more stretch in this area. If the hip flexor is particularly short, then the stretch impacts the hip flexor region quite a lot more before it effectively reaches the inner parts of the thighs like it's supposed to. And that introduces a unique kind of stretch where different fibers and various fascial lines are being stretched in that area. And this is also a very simple exercise that frees you up the fascia and has the added benefit of also helping with a hyperlordosis. And even with the hip, it is usually very tight with age, and many already have arthritis in it. And to prevent that, or if the issue is already present, to keep it from getting worse, it is wonderfully effective or wonderful. And functional to keep expanding the range of motion. Do it in a manner that truly feels good. It's really crucial that the exercises you do are fun for you. That means they should challenge you. It should be a bit tough, but in a positive way. It has to be a feel-good struggle. Yes, what you can still tolerate positively, because you should do them every day. The older you get, the more important to do them every day. Always stretch a little further. And now we're going to do a little strength training right here. What you're going to do is try to bring both feet together as firmly and tightly as you possibly can. Of course, that's not possible because you're standing on your feet. Also, make sure you don't wear socks, so it's not slippery. You need to have a good grip on the ground. Then relax again, and now move a little further apart. With these exercises, you achieve a double effect. You prevent pain, delay arthritis, check for discomfort, and manage these issues well. Or if you already have them, then there's a good chance they will continue to improve progressively. And I had promised that right after the exercise, you should notice a difference. Release and enjoy your breakfast. Gently move your back a little. And also lift your legs up a bit higher. You could already be feeling lighter and more agile. That's why it's important to share this video with as many people as you can, because everyone deserves to experience this. They will be very grateful to you if they feel better too, just like you do. And of course, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any videos.